Hey guys, welcome to the Sunday PC. Happy Father's Day to everybody. I'm Regina Ang Lee, and this is Jesus. We are going to get right into it with our round one. We did have a little bit of tech problems, so that's why we're just jumping straight into it with Tyler Soto versus Everett Fillloon. And you've got Everett's team on the screen for you. You've got Marco, Great Tusk, Golden Go, Gothitelle, Iron Hands, and Gomorrah versus Tyler, which is going to have that, the Flutter Main, Arcanine. You've got Amoonguss, King Gambit, Iron Bundle, and Iron Hands.
Two different polarizing options from both these types. I see on Tyler's side of the screen, mostly a balanced core, maybe a potential for a couple of techs from his team, but mostly the speed control is probably not going to be as prominent, And then on the side of Everett, you have both the Murkrow and the Gothitelle potentially with speed control and Tailwind and Trick 'em respectively. So, he could easily set the pace on how he wants to control the battle.
Yeah, actually a lot of interesting choices for Everett's team. It feels like a very old version of a lot of teams that we've seen. Gothitelle always being able to shadow tag things in is also really nice, because a lot of the times your opponents don't really have a way to sort of answer that. Being able to switch out and pivoting is such an important part of this game. So being able to shut that down with something like shadow tagging Gothitelle, especially with how bulky it is also really nice. And so we're going to get right into it in this game one. We are going to, for our Sunday PC, for our doubleheader weekend, we've got Fluttermane and Arcanine. Arcanine just going up in usage so much as Murkrow and Golden Go. A lead. It's been a really long time since I've seen that, as the Intimidate will land on the Murkrow and that Golden Go, and not really going to matter for either of them.
Okay, I'm looking at this Arcanine Fluttermane lead. I think he wanted to try to get an Intimidate catch on the Great Tusk or something like the Iron Hands, for example, but it's not a terrible lead as well for these Arcanine. Super effective damage on the Goldengo is always nice, and as you said, Murkrow Goldengo basically existed since the beginning of the season, Series 1, and it's still strong as ever, but depending on the way the Arcanine's or the Fluttermane's trained, maybe after Tailwind, Arcanine can maybe get a revenge shot with the Flare Blitz or something like that, but that's also going to depend on what this Fluttermane does.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at the team sheet too. That Golden Go doesn't even really have a defensive Terra typing. It is a Terra type Steel, so if you were able to Terra type right now and just go for insane damage, but we are just no terraring. We're gonna have a Tailwind here for the Murkrow to give the speed advantage for for Everett, as Make It Rain from Golden Go is gonna connect with both. It's gonna pick up the knockout on the Fluttermane, but it's gonna leave this Arcanine to be able to attack back. So just as the names are going to be switched, we are gonna be seeing it from Everett's side versus Tyler, who is gonna be the one with the Arcanine.
Yeah, now we're going to see a Flare Blitz come out from Tyler's Arcanine, and this should be not. It is not a knockout. I was expecting it to be a knockout because of the way most Arcanine are trained nowadays, but I feel like now we just know that Everett's Arcanine is meant to be a bit more bulkier as we see Amoonguss switch in.
Yeah, so the Amoonguss from so that's actually Tyler's side, as Everett's Golden Go is able to survive that turn. That's actually really big, just because Everett just still has that speed advantage and is able to actually knock down that Arcanine on this turn. Arcanine can't even do anything like potentially Extreme Speed. Doesn't actually have it. Oh, it does have it for Tyler's, but can't even touch the Golden Go. So really, just even though this Golden Go is almost getting knocked out, it's still able to put a lot of pressure out there.
Yeah, I think he tried to read a Terra or a swap with that Extreme Speed into the Goldengo slot. We do see the Haze come out, so it's now going to mitigate the Intimidate and the Make It Rain special attack drop. How much damage is this Make It Rain doing to this Amoonguss?
Yeah, more importantly, you're going to get rid of the Arcanine, but Amoonguss takes a lot of damage from that. That is just a heavy special attack there from the Choice Specs, just really helping with that damage output. And honestly, Murkrow with the Haze into the Golden Go, just something that we've seen a lot. And actually, I don't really feel like there's probably a need to Terra or switch there, because the Golden Go, you have the speed advantage, you don't have to worry about it. Pollen Puff going to fail here because there is no target to sort of attack. So Tyler just going to be knocked down to his last two Pokemon, Iron Hands and Amoonguss. Iron Hands not really that terrible of a Pokemon to be left with, but that Amoonguss is gonna have to has already eaten that berry, or will have a berry at least, but doesn't have access to that regenerate ability.
Yeah, and the worst part about this is that if Everett does have the Great Tusk get it back, this might be already in a check position in chess terms. We do see the Great Tusk in the back. Okay, this might be tough for Tyler to come back from, because Iron Hands, even though it can get a lot of damage going, especially with that Sword Stance on it, it's also Terra Fire, because maybe resist Make It Rain, but at the same time, I'm wondering back in that turn where you went for the extreme speed to potentially read a Terra from the Goldango, but I don't know if it made sense.
Yeah, that's kind of not, I think, something that maybe, you know, just like a slip of the mind or anything like that. But Marco actually going for Brave Bird this turn is going to get the Amoonguss down to the red, but is going to take some damage from that recoil. And Goldango going for the Make It Rain is going to pick up the knockout easily on the Amoonguss. Iron Hands, just very little damage. We didn't see the fake out because it, you know, wouldn't touch the Goldango either way. But Iron Hands is finally going to be able to at least move here. Goes for a Volt Switch into that Goldango spot. Is able to pick up the knockout. Obviously won't be able to switch out because it's the only Pokemon left. But is at least finally able to get rid of that Goldango. But honestly, it's a lot to ask of this Iron Hands.
Yeah, especially with Glamora coming in. Earth Power being quad effective against something like that Iron Hands. Even if it goes Terra Fire, it's still going to take a considerable amount of damage because we do see in this team sheet it is not the Assault Vest variant. We do see it is Swords Dance, it is the Safety Goggles set. And we see Great Tusk coming in for the Murkrow. We do see a Mortal Spin instead of an Earth Power. I wonder if he did try to read the Terra there, as we're going to see this Iron Hands just go for the Heavy Slam. Going to go ahead and put Glamora down to 9 HP and set up a very late Toxic Spikes.
Yeah, so actually a really interesting choice there because part of it is I think you have the ability to sort of win this with like more than Murkrow. Giving away the information that you brought the Great Tusk maybe, you know, might work out for later on, but Tailwind is going to expire this turn. This Great Tusk comes in for free. Glamora did take some damage, but at least if this comes down to a game of turns, then the Iron Hands is going to have to worry about all that poison damage that's going to accumulate over time.
Yeah, but also at the very same time, Tyler, I think he's trying to continue this battle to gain a lot of information because even though this battle may be lost, you know, it's very valuable to learn about the damage output because knowing that the Heavy Slam comes super close to getting a one-hit knockout onto the Glamora is actually very vital information, as well as knowing that you could survive a close combat with that Life Orb. Yeah,
so that Great Tusk is able to land a close combat, is going to lose some of the HP thanks to that Life Orb, and Glamora going to clean up this game with Earth Power, knocking out the Iron Hands. So we are going to get game 1 to Everett. That Goldango Murkrow, despite the fact that, you know, after Series 1 it sort of tapered off a little bit in popularity, which is kind of showing itself as why if you can't really stop it, it's still sort of dangerous. I think if we had seen the, like actually neither one of them terrestrialized, but I think we'd seen the Steel terrestrialize from the Goldango, you probably would have been able to see a closer knockout with Arcanine, but at least you're able to protect yourself from that extreme speed.
Yeah, and I was like to think, that's like one of the more scarier things about Goldango teams. Is like you either have to face a bulky one with a very defensive Terra or a very offensive one with the Steel Terra, just to make sure you get a lot of spread damage out with that Choice Specs Make It Rain, especially with that boost. You know, depending on the way these Pokemon are trained, you know, there's obviously the very fast variant, it's also the very offensive variant. You know, there are different variations, different variables, but also I do agree that Tyler, for staying in the battle and just not forfeiting it immediately to find out about that damage roll, because now he knows this Iron Hands can put out a lot of work, but setting it up is another thing.
Yeah, I'm wondering here too if the Arcanine really offers itself as much as the other Pokemon do, because you have to worry about the Goldango, you have to worry about the Great Tusk, you have to worry about maybe like the Glamora, and then like the poison afterwards. Amoonguss also wasn't really able to offer much because the Pollen Puff wasn't able to land on anything. I think if you're Tyler here, there's other options that you have available to you to be able to sort of just counteract Everett's team. The Fluttermane unfortunately, you know, went down before it was able to do anything because that Tailwind just has that priority for that Murkrow.
Yeah, that Prankster is going to be a lot of heavy damage for Everett because that gives a lot of his team speed advantage. And as we saw with his team, even though we probably did not see the Gothitelle come in, but you know, again, having the speed control can heavily dictate a game and where it goes. But Tyler's not shaking. He's still going to stick with the Fluttermane Arcanine lead as Great Tusk is going to be replacing Goldango for game 2.
Ooh, that's kind of interesting because the Intimidate actually sort of matters now on that Great Tusk, and that Fluttermane is kind of staring down at this Great Tusk saying like, okay, I might actually be able to do something here. I mean, Arcanine might be a little bit afraid of that, but the fact that you're able to get Intimidate down onto that Great Tusk, which like you had mentioned was probably something that they wanted to happen in game 1 for Tyler, now you have sort of that nice, like a better sort of lead against Everett here. I mean, Murkrow you still sort of have to worry about in terms of those Prankster abilities, but this Great Tusk is in a little bit of danger here, so we do see it using Protect.
I think I know the line of play for Everett here. You know, you get the Tailwind up, you get the... At least you get the speed control for the rest of the game for the next 4 turns. I mean, depending on whether or not this Fluttermane gets a knockout of anything. Here's the Dazzling Gleam going to come out. Now, we did know that this was not a Focus Sash from game 1, so we do see his Choice Specs. Will this knock out this Murkrow? It will not.
Yeah, so Murkrow able to hang on as Will-O-Wisp from Arcanine is not going to connect into this Great Tusk because of that Protect. So Everett doing a really great job here of protecting one of his heavy damage outputs. Did get the speed advantage as well. So Fluttermane was able to get down some heavy damage into that Murkrow, but this Great Tusk is still still a little bit of a pain right now because you do have to worry about the fact that it's still on the field, wasn't burned, did have a -1 now thanks to that Intimidate, but it is a big problem.
Yeah, and I'm also wondering if you consider going for Haze here, but it looks like he's not going to go for the Haze there to get rid of that Intimidate drop. We do see Tyler switch out Arcanine and afraid of any ground type attacks. I'm going to go in and bring out the Amungus to hopefully soak up a lot of damage. And I'm actually a little surprised that we're going to, I mean, first of all, we're going to see the Translation come out. I'm a little surprised Everett didn't go for a Haze to negate the Intimidate drop.
Yeah, I wonder if he's just thinking that maybe there's a bit more that he wants to do with that Murkrow in terms of getting rid of other Pokemon, getting some extra chip damage on there, because sometimes that makes all the difference, right? So the Terastallizing round here from the Great Tusk, clicking into Earthquake, it is going to be boosted by that Terastallization. Murkrow going to ignore that because it is Flying type, but the Fluttermane and Amoonguss both take it. The Fluttermane goes down on this turn, thanks to the extra boost from all of that damage from that Great Tusk, even with that -1 and that Life Orb just boosting it up as well. Murkrow going for the Brave Bird, so actually a really great move to go into this Amoonguss. Doesn't quite get it down to the red here, and it's going to take some recoil damage, and it's going to get knocked out for its troubles there.
Yeah, now the option for Haze is gone forever, as we do see Amoonguss going to recover 25% of his HP back with that Citrus Berry. You know, maybe get a good Regenerator off, but now the problem for Great Tusk is that if Arcanine's pretty much free to swap back in, get another Intimidate onto this Great Tusk, put it down to -2 attack. Even though you are Life Orb, you are double power with your ground type attacks. It's pretty much in a weird spot because, okay, now that I see this Goldingo come out, now Arcanine kind of has to pick and choose where it wants to attack.
Yeah, I mean, Arcanine's just like, hey, I kind of want to get rid of both of you, but you're really only forced to choose one. And the problem with the Goldingo being on the field here for Tyler is that it has that spread move as well. I mean, Great Tusk clearly isn't going to want to click something like that Earthquake again because you're going to hit your own partner this time because Goldingo doesn't have the Flying type. That would have been that Murkrow that just got knocked out, but Headlong Rush also going to be able to do a lot of damage. Even with that -2, you're still going to have to worry about the Goldingo. So like sort of like a doubling up in Arcanine, either through spread moves or through just single targeting, is still going to be a problem. Amoonguss might be able to like mitigate that damage for a turn with Rage Powder, or might be able to support the Arcanine with Pollen Puff, but you're still stuck in that awkward spot where if the Amoonguss goes down, then your Arcanine's just forced to get knocked out by something.
Yeah, there's still Tailwind up for Everett, so that's another factor that Tyler has to put in factor here. As we do see Translation on the Flying type, you don't. He's doing this just to make sure if he went for the Earthquake or the Headlong Rush, that he is completely safe.
I've heard of pigs flying, but not dogs as much. So we are going to see this Arcanine with that Terastallizing. The Headlong Rush actually going into the Amoonguss instead does not pick up the knockout here, and that's another defense and special defense drop here for that Great Tusk as Arcanine gets those balloons, and that Great Tusk is going to lose so much HP as Goldingo is going to clean up the damage here on that Amoonguss, and the critical hit actually just kind of rough there. The Arcanine like did everything it was supposed to do just in case, but that is just a really rough time. Double knockout here for Everett, and that's gonna be basically game because I think we've got one more Pokemon left. It's just gonna be that Iron Bundle, and as much as this Pokemon is terrifying to some people, I don't think even it can 1v3 my bad, an entire team.
Especially with one more turn for Tailwind on Everett's side. So even though it is ×2 speed for the Tailwind, the booster energy is 1.5, so it's basically a choice scarf. You do get to outspeed both Pokemon. Maybe you get a knockout on the Great Tusk, as you do.
Yep, was able to pick up a knockout here on that Great Tusk.
Oh, maybe that's why.
Hey, you know what? A crit for a crit, right? Goldingo is going to get that -speed drop as well, but it is going to be a single target Make It Rain. And it's still going to be a lot of damage, especially because it is that choice specs as well, and it is a -1, but it's still able to pick up this knockout pretty cleanly. So honestly, just a rough sort of time for Tyler on that second to last turn, where you were able to at least protect the Arcanine, and like your Amoonguss maybe was gonna get knocked out no matter what, but that Arcanine getting critted right there, I think, is just one of the roughest parts. So that. Good for Everett. He was able to at least get this round, but it's still rough going sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes the crit flip of the coin will just fall out of your favor. You know, that crit on the turn that Tyler tried to read a Headlong Rush or Earthquake into the Arcanine that was supposed to protect it for the turn. You know, I think it does survive the choice specs Make It Rain, but unfortunately that crit swinged the wheel, and I think I don't want to assume the right play. but I think it was trying to flirt with the gold.
I mean, most likely because you still have to worry about the golden go because the damage output is just so insane with that choice specs. And at the end of the day, right, like critical hits are gonna happen no matter what. It's just a matter of shaking it off and going to your next round because we do have 5 rounds of Swiss, so even losing one doesn't mean you're out of top cut contention. It just means that the road to top cut is gonna be a little tougher.
Yeah, a lot tougher, and playing. I just want to say, playing in one of these challenges is actually one of the more funner experiences if you actually just take the time to dedicate, your time playing the Pokemon game. I did it yesterday. I got on the stream. I can say this off experience, finally.
Yeah, playing is like a different beast, right? Because we can talk about it all day, but like, it's I enjoy playing it. Playing in competitive settings is a different story.
It is.
But we will see you guys for round 2 as soon as everyone was done. What's actually really nice is we do have 2 juniors and a senior here too. So a reminder to everyone out there, regardless of your age. Oh, actually, sorry. Let me amend that. There is a minimum age requirement for the juniors division for Pokemon, but play Pokemon is for everyone. So if you've ever thought to yourself, I want to play Pokemon, but I feel too young or I feel too old. No. There is a place for you in any of the junior, seniors, or masters division. And we've proven that here because we technically have all 3 divisions represented, which is a great thing to say. But yeah, we'll see you guys for round 2. Just stick around and go grab yourselves some water or a snack, whatever beverage you feel like. We'll see you